We're checking out Remnant 2 to see if it's still worth playing in 2024. One of the standout features of Remnant 2 is its procedural generation. This means the world changes each time you play, keeping things fresh. You don't just play through the game once and call it a day. Remnant 2 is built for multiple runs. The way it combines the feel of a roguelite and a looter shooter is impressive. Yet, it doesn't fully fall into either category. This blend is what gives Remnant 2 a unique edge. In terms of gameplay, the co-op experience is a huge win. Unlike the clunky summoning systems seen in other Souls-like games, Remnant 2 offers seamless co-op play. Plus, you can choose difficulty settings that actually work the way you expect, without ruining the core experience of the game. Even on lower difficulties, the game stays challenging, but you can always start easy and work your way up as your gear and skills improve. The combat in Remnant 2 is something you'll appreciate once you get a feel for it. It's not just about tight controls and smooth animations. The game gives you a real sense of weight in every attack. When you hit an enemy, they react. You can shoot a charging enemy in the leg, and they'll stumble, or take a clean headshot, and their head's gone. It's a very satisfying combat system that changes depending on the weapon you use. The bosses, though less reactive than regular enemies, are epic in their own way. From giant cubes rolling towards you to a massive behemoth smashing cliffs under your feet, each boss fight has its own twist. Switching between guns and melee weapons is seamless, and you have a wide range of powers to use depending on your character's class. Some powers are as simple as adding fire damage to your weapon, while others are much more creative, like summoning tentacles to fight for you. Remnant 2 isn't a game you finish once and walk away from. Sure, there's a clear start and end, but the game encourages you to keep playing. Its procedural generation system means you won't see everything the first time through. There are bosses, weapons, and even entire storylines that change with each playthrough. Each world is packed with secrets and dungeons that vary every time you play, giving the game endless replay value. If replaying the entire campaign isn't your thing, you can regenerate specific worlds and dive back into the action with the same character. This lets you keep exploring without starting over completely, and you can gear up for harder difficulties like Nightmare, which the game actually recommends you don't start until you're better prepared. One of the most exciting aspects of Remnant 2 is its deep character building system. As you play, you'll unlock tons of weapons, rings, amulets, and other gear that you can mix and match to create the perfect build. But it's not about getting all your gear quickly. The game rewards exploration, and every piece of loot feels meaningful. You can also switch between two classes or archetypes at any time, giving you tons of flexibility in how you play. Maybe you want to be a tanky engineer with turrets, or maybe a fast gunslinger. The combinations are endless, and part of the fun is figuring out what works best. As you level up a class, you can even keep its core trait when you switch classes, giving you even more customization options. That said, Remnant 2 isn't without its issues. Some builds, while fun, aren't always practical. Take the Handler class, for example. You have a cool dog companion that fights alongside you and can even revive you when you're downed. But in many boss fights, the dog can't even reach the enemy, making it less useful than it should be. Melee builds also face challenges. They can be powerful in the right situations, but there are certain zones and bosses where melee just doesn't cut it. You may need to switch to a ranged build for some fights, which can be frustrating if you're really enjoying a certain playstyle. While it's understandable that not every build should be perfect in all situations, it does feel limiting when the game forces you to change your approach entirely. Where Remnant 2 really shines is in co-op. The synergy between different classes and character builds adds a layer of strategy that makes playing with friends even more enjoyable. You can have a medic class healing the group, while an engineer sets up turrets and a gunslinger deals massive damage from afar. The game encourages teamwork and lets you experiment with different class combos to tackle the hardest challenges. Remnant 2's new expansion, The Dark Horizon, brings even more content to the table. One of the most requested changes from players was an item filter, and now it's finally here. The new item filter makes it much easier to manage your gear, especially with all the loot the game throws at you. The Dark Horizon also introduces a boss rush mode, where you can take on all the base game bosses in a fast-paced gauntlet. This mode gives you access to even more loot, and the addition of a loot filter makes sorting through your gear a breeze. Along with a reworked relic fragment system and a new endgame feature called the Prism system, this expansion adds a lot of value to the game. So, Is Remnant 2 worth playing in 2024? It offers a unique mix of procedural generation, deep character builds, and satisfying combat that keeps you coming back for more. While there are some limitations with certain builds, the sheer variety of gameplay options and the addition of the Dark Horizon expansion make it a solid choice for both new and returning players. If you enjoy challenging games with a lot of replay value, Remnant 2 is definitely worth your time. Thanks for watching. If you found this review helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest game reviews.